Hello, and welcome to the Irish Guys podcast.
Alright, Dave.
How's it going, lads?
Not too bad, Dave. Not too bad. How's
Not
it
too
going
bad.
yourself?
Aye, alright, lads. Aye, it's a wee Sunday afternoon here. Well, maybe evening time now.
End of the month,
End of the month.
leap year and all that.
Aye.
Leap month.
Does that mean that Liverpool's result yesterday doesn't count because it wasn't actually on a proper day or something? I don't know.
Well, it mightn't count, if the coronavirus causes the league to shut down and Liverpool don't get rewarded their Premier League title.
Something drastic's gonna stop you from lifting the league, like.
We've bait everybody now. All we'll have to do is bait Corona. So,
Uh,
aye.
And Watford.
Always like Watford, you know. Big
Yeah.
fan of Troy Deeney.
David, you're absolutely fuming last night. We couldn't get the hold of you at all last night. You're absolutely.
What are you talking about?
raging.
I was replying to all the messages.
Oh no, but they were all set up in advance.
No, well, we should probably
It's
say
probably-
it's the three of us in here. It's myself, Crippy, Vesty. We're talking football this evening. It's our February football wrap up. So I will cover a wide out. February was a busy month for news anyway, so
A lot's happened.
a lot's happened. But we'll just start off with last night, I suppose. Liverpool lost their unbeaten run. They set an absolute crap load of records, and I had listened to two absolute stank United men giving me bad manners about it.
Well, for a better quality of life and a more peaceful life, it's for the best, I think.
It's delayed the
you know,
inevitable.
You know,
They're going to win the league, and that's no bother at all. But
because
as long as they don't go invincible, like,
let's put it like this. Arsenal, fair enough, have done the Invincibles and they won that league that year. Fantastic team, fantastic achievement. But I don't ever recall any other teams saying, remember that year we won the title 3 years in a row, but won it by 12 points this year, 20 points this year. It's never about
No.
points. It's just people won the league and that was
as
enough.
Keno said in
That was what
Sky
Keno was
Sports,
saying.
they don't put the amount of points you have in the back of your medal. It just says champion.
Just
Fair
like
enough.
that.
Well, then you should be on my side, fellas. No, what do you call it? I think we'd sort of talked about it off air a few times, maybe even on air. I'm not sure.
Well, to be fair, talking about that Liverpool result, does anyone else think, they're playing absolutely class this season, but over the last few weeks, they've sort of started, West Ham were good against them.
We've been crap since
Wolves
that
should have
break.
beat them. That's what I'm saying. And then, losing to Atletico Madrid. And
I think Liverpool are nearly better playing every other day. You kind of get out of a wee bit of rhythm nearly, but no, they played poorly, like, and they deserved.
I thought West Ham probably deserved to beat you too.
West Ham played well, lad. West Ham played well, but I don't know.
It's just a slump, but every team sort of gets that when
Oh,
they're on that.
It's
like-
hard. It's hard to keep going. Like them two City
Oh,
teams.
it's just, as you were saying earlier, it's delaying the inevitable. Like,
Aye.
it's, the league's
You know what?
wrapped
It's
up.
maybe it could be a positive thing. I'd give them a kick up the ass, sort of not take anything for granted anymore. And now
You'd have thought the Atletico Madrid result would have done that. Like,
You would, aye.
sort of shaking on the edge of 1 foot out of Europe. Like,
the same with that there. I mean, at the same time, the Atletico Madrid game, like they scored an awfully scrappy goal very early on, and then it was
Once they go up, it's hard.
it's 50-50. Like they were happy enough to take the 1-0 and sit there for the remainder of the game. Like so,
yeah.
I mean, it'll maybe give them a kick up the ass. The pressure's off now in the league. There's not the pressure to keep winning and not lose, and like it's out of the way now. So you can kind of.
It was an important result for Watford too, who are playing well under Nigel Pearson. Like,
They had a wee bit of a slump
like,
there too.
not even talking about like a Liverpool slump, like, but it's just a good Watford performance.
It was a good
like,
Watford
it was,
performance, aye.
Well,
they
if
played really well. Their game plan worked perfectly. Like, and they just
They gave
got
us
at Liverpool from the start.
They
Like.
gave us a tough game at Anfield too. Sarr missed an awful sitter in the home match for us as well. But
yeah.
no,
But
what
I
can you do?
since-
Like I was annoyed for about 10 minutes, and then I was like, what the hell am I annoyed for? I'm complaining that the football team that hasn't lost the game in the league this year lost
the
a
first
match.
defeat in 44 games or something.
Aye,
Oh,
that's
Davy started fuming about it.
To be fair, I was going to say I think we've talked about this. I don't know if it's on air or off air, but like if you offered me a better run at the Champions League or going invincible, I would take a better run. Like if you offered me getting to the final of a Champions League or going invincible, I would take the chances.
You might not have the choice for either, lad. You might be non-invincible and be knocked out of the Champions League by Atletico Madrid.
It's nice to see smiles on your faces, lads. You're very depressed for the January wrap up.
Oh,
But here we've enjoyed February, like.
we've been grand,
You know, we've capped off where we draw the day. The Goodison's not the easiest result.
Brilliant, Bruno.
Okay.
Brilliant,
Bruno's
Bruno.
playing well.
Bruno's been.
Absolutely
Bruno's our best
fantastic.
player, and he's only been there 5 games.
He's absolutely sensational.
doing
Bruno
everything
is
for
just
you.
so good, like.
Yeah. So we'll maybe start off. We've got a few talking points as we do for these things. I thought the sort of big one that we're going to have to talk about, probably the one that maybe take the most time here, is the whole Manchester City scandal. So
Yes.
that there's been sort of about for quite some time now. I think everybody sort of knows that they were financially doping the club.
Right, that's basically what it is. It is basically financial doping.
It is, aye.
They should be punished for it. Like, the rules are in place for a reason.
The rules are in
And if
place.
you're outspending your means, then you should be punished for it.
Well, it sounds like they're fairly confident that they'll probably get the ban reduced or lowered in some way, and it's quite, it always boils down to one thing. They'll likely pay their way out of it at the end of the day.
Well, this is the thing too.
Well, they can line a few UEFA pockets, like.
And just get the gun ahead. It'll be all right. Don't do it again.
Well, see, it's the most
slap on the wrist.
So far, it's been the most severe of punishments that UEFA have dealt out to the likes of a team.
What'll be interesting to see is what ramifications to the Premier League will put on them if it's found, like, if their appeal sort of fails and they end up getting the full 2-year ban. The Premier League, it's obviously breaking the Premier League's financial fair play rules as well.
It is, yeah.
They're obviously going to get punished in some way by the Premier League. Like, I've heard rumours of titles being stripped off them and points deductions and different things. Like, Liverpool might have won a league title a couple of years ago, Dave, huh?
There's one in 2014 as well. You would have an extra league title as well.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want it, but you would want like an asterisk beside it or something. We've known for years that City's success has been tainted, but now we just have proof that City's success has been tainted. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
No.
Irish guys neither confirm or deny.
So I basically inflating sponsorship deals till balance their books. Apparently there's even stuff, I can't remember if it was Mancini or somebody, that there was even like a bonus paid them or something for winning the FA Cup just to have an outlay so that they were balancing their books and stuff, But there's another side to this argument I wouldn't mind getting into a wee touch, which is the sort of City defence side of it, where they are saying that it's the financial fair play isn't actually a way to protect clubs, it's a way to close the door behind the elite clubs that are already established. Have you got any thoughts on that? I sort of was thinking, like, I understand that this is the way they're coming from. If you have the money, should you be allowed to spend it? But, like, this is the way they're putting it there.
Financial fair play, it also, like, yes, in the top sort of side of football, it can be seen like that there, but it's also to protect teams lower down, like, there's not more situations like Bury and things like that where teams are spending beyond their means and then end up getting into administration and getting shut down, is to protect that, as much as anything else.
I understand that. I mean, this is Man City's side of it. It's like, you have your elite clubs, you have your Liverpools, Manchester Uniteds, Arsenals, Chelsea's, Real, Barca, PSG, Bayern Munich, all the big teams, and they're basically protecting them. How do you compete with them teams when you can't spend like them teams can spend, because most of them teams have a higher income and revenue?
You saying Claudio Ancelotti, Claudio Ranieri.
Fair enough. Leicester's a good example, but again, Leicester had to, when they won the league, they fell off, and then they had to rebuild again. So it's difficult, and then you've seen the ramifications of what playing in Europe did to them. You can't thicken out your squad because you can't overspend your means, basically.
Yeah. I think the only way you're ever going to sort of get on top of this is if you just sort of go the same way as American sports and just go like a spending cap or salary cap.
Yeah.
Because like it depends on the way, it'd probably be a bit different if they were going to do it in like the likes of football, because fair enough, big teams do need to spend big money to keep being the big teams, if you like, buying in a 50 million player like say a Bruno Fernandes or something, which United needed, but
this is it. You're not gonna have like an elite sponsorship deals like Manchester United have, that Liverpool are now having. If you're the only one that I think that is comparable is Wolves, but even Wolves' situation is quite.
They're super agents basically pumping players into their club.
So they're like, how do you get in? The City's argument is, how do you get into that bracket without spending a big pile of money, and we have it to spend, so how is this fair, sort of thing?
I think City have no place for an argument if it's only coming from the Man City perspective. If it's coming from a Man City as a club as its own, that's okay. They've went over their budget river, now they're breaching financial fair play, but City have a family of City or Manchester owned, I don't know what,
Manchester City Group,
City Group, right? So they've got one in, is it Mumbai? They've maybe an Australian one. They've got New York, and they've got one, I think, actually in Argentina or
Australia
something.
as well.
So they've like 4 or 5. Like, this is the problem. Like, they're buying up players that are young, like see the likes of this lad at Birmingham, Jude Bellingham.
Mhm.
There's talks this fella could reach 20-30 million, like by some of the big clubs. Like if you're buying 100 or 200 million, like Man City spending every year, like they can easily fork out 20 or 30 million for that fella, and they'll do what they want with him. But that's another aspect. What I'm saying is, if not a lot of clubs have this, Red Bull have it.
Mhm.
And Red Bull, say what you like about them, but they probably do it the best way because they bring the majority of them players in through Salzburg,
Mhm.
and I think they've another franchise somewhere as well. I don't know off the top of my head, but
They've got one. They've got the New York Red Bull team as
they've
well.
got New York as well. So they bring in players through the likes of say Salzburg, and like they can transfer them up directly to the Leipzig, which is more or less the top of the tree.
Well, this is what City are doing basically. Anyway.
Yeah.
You know.
But if City are going to do that there, I mean, like they've got plenty of family clubs around that group, which they can bring in young players through. And like, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is like they need to stop spending stupidly, if you know what I mean. But it's that whole competitive thing where it's like
they just
like if you don't agree with the financial fair play rule or whatever, that's still not the point here. The point is the rules in place. They broke the rules. They were found cheating. So they deserve everything that they get. And I'm gonna laugh at their absolute demise whenever Sterling goes to Real Madrid, De Bruyne goes away to Barcelona, and
it's very
Pep flicks to Brazil.
It's very amusing. But I think what my point was being is just to say going forward, how do you minimise this sort of thing? Like what is the alternatives? Because I'm sure City aren't the only ones that have.
Well, this is the thing too. Apparently, they're kind of maybe gonna turn like Super Snitch or Super Grass or something like, and sort of spill the books on everybody.
Was it not some fella? Sorry, it was not some fella that actually opened that whole Pandora's box or whatever.
Yeah, and he leaked the things in their Spiegel.
Hacked into their emails. And
see, this is the thing too. This is the thing. They're basically going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to say that this is an unfair and unjust ruling. So this is maybe the next bit that we need to get into. They're gonna go to CAS. And they're going to appeal, basically. In one of the leaked emails, it said something like, they knew that this ban was forthcoming. Basically, they'd seen that it was coming down the line. But in one of the leaked emails, it was said that they are going to They would rather spend 30 million over the next 5 years, basically financially bankrupting UEFA, than take the ban. So they're gonna fight this tooth and nail, like. So this is gonna be one of them things that yes they did wrong, but it's one of them things you can't you can't illegally acquire information and then use it as evidence. The other side of that argument then is that this is
caught out for doing wrong.
This is UEFA's competition. When you signed up to play in this competition, you knew the rules. You mutually agreed to enter this competition on the mutual understanding that you are abiding by the rules that we set out. So they're complaining about these rules not being fair, but again, it's UEFA's rules, it's UEFA's competition. But the other thing that I think is that the reason that it's been a harsh penalty, like they fined them 30 million as well or something, and then the 2-year ban is probably because they'll go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, get this delayed, and then they'll come to like a more reasonable
outcome.
It'll be like a year ban, maybe.
Yeah.
But they're going to get this pushed back. Like, City aren't going to take this at all.
No.
I don't know. I think UEFA should stay strong, and
it's all right saying that, but they've got the financial backing of a country, and they could kill it in court. Like, they could bury it in the amount of legal documents that it'll never see the light of day. Like,
did I see it right? Where City have employed some sort of like
high-end lawyer. The boy that got Brexit delayed twice.
I saw
this fella.
So like
he got like Theresa May's Brexit plan delayed twice. This fella, so this kid knows the ins and outs of it, like, and from watching Suits, I mean, you obtained the information that put us basically in the bad books illegally by hacking. So that's. I don't know what way this works out in the process if it's a UEFA sporting thing, but that's that type of evidence is inadmissible in court. So what do you do? Like, it's an awkward one. Then it leaves the thing about like PSG could be getting involved in this carry on. They're in the same boat. So it's a pretty big one. Like, I don't know what way it's gonna turn out. I think that they're gonna fight it tooth and nail, and then maybe come to a more amenable, agreeable type ban. Like.
Because they're coming out with fairly ridiculous comments, like Pep saying if they went down to League 2 and Sterling went down to League 2, they'd stay. Like, they must have some sort of indication that behind it all will have enough in their case to fight it to where they get maybe a 1-year ban or something.
They'll never
like
get
that.
down to League Two. That'll not be a
No,
thing.
it's a bit.
Even relegated.
No, it's
because like what they're doing, like financial cheating is cheating and all the rest. Like, but the only team that's ever really been relegated, as far as I know, is Juventus. Like, and that was match fixing, which is.
There's something about actually that the way if you were caught doing this in the football league and like the Championship, League 1, League 2, you get like relegated to League 2 or something. But the Premier League's its own entity or whatever as well too. But obviously apparently the FFP rules are a wee bit more there's a wee bit more flexibility in England, but again there's still financial fair play rules, so the English FA are going to have to look into it too. So there could be like points deductions or something as well.
Yeah.
Plus it'll be a knock-on effect too with players. Some of them players will have Champions League contracts, like the team has to be playing in the Champions League, or I have like a reduced buyout clause, or maybe something along those lines. There could be different things of that nature in it as well.
Aye.
There'll be things that the club has to adhere to with as far as player contracts as well. So
there'll be a few snags, but you would imagine along the way they'll be able to work something out that it doesn't mean that they're going to get too badly.
It's a big one.
I want them to get badly enough.
Oh, not to say I wouldn't mind seeing it for the amusement.
We had Liverpool have back-to-back league titles in the bag already. A nice wee tasty points deduction for next season.
No idea. Hear this?
Suppose we've covered that enough, fellas.
Fair enough.
The next one I have down is the top 4 race. Now it's the first of the third here of the day. So you boys are just after watching. I suppose I already said it actually. United Everton draw.
It was a bit of a nightmare to start. De Gea
we were better in the first half, but in the second half Everton really come into the game. Like
De Gea made a bit of an error at the start there, and Calvert-Lewin closed him down, and the ricochet off Calvert-Lewin went into the net, and then 2 minutes later Calvert-Lewin ran the defence ragged, and only for De Gea saving it. It would have been 2-0 5 minutes in, but after that United recovered fairly well. Matic had a couple of good efforts. One came off the crossbar. Bruno was absolutely brilliant. I mean, he gave away.
Bruno's class.
Give away
very good.
Give away a couple of passes today, but aside from that, they're absolutely brilliant. Probably the best player in the field again.
Absolutely running rings around defenders for fun. Like
he's just so
talented.
He's just so silky, like, and everything he does. He's
so smart, like so much control.
There was a play today where I think it was Greenwood. The ball was played from just around the center of the midfield area, and Bruno dummied a run.
Oh yeah,
dummied a run, and Greenwood ran on it, and it created a good opportunity. So
that was tasty.
He's the player that we need, and thankfully he's actually adapted very quickly.
He's like a pure leader too. Like you see him shouting at people and getting people.
He's been a revelation for you so far. But Spurs threw away a lead today too. Well, I think they're only one up at a point. But the top 4 race is getting tasty. Like
nothing's nailed on.
Wolves are now
right up there
with us. Like. And then I think we're 3 points behind Chelsea. I think Wolves are tied on points with us, but we're ahead of them in goal difference.
And even Leicester have been on a bad run of form recently, and they were beat the other night by Norwich, weren't they?
Leicester,
I think Leicester maybe 7 points or something ahead, but that's not a big gap.
No.
There'll be somebody that'll maybe put a wee run of form together here and string a few wins.
I think Leicester are 8 points ahead of us, and they're
maybe 5 points ahead of Chelsea. But
5 points ahead of Chelsea.
There's a few, like obviously there's going to be games where there's going to be big 6 pointers.
If they don't start sort of picking it back up again, they can't get sucked into the.
There's going to be 6 pointers. Like Leicester maybe going to have. I don't know Leicester's fixture list, but they might have to play Hughes or whatever. Maybe play Spurs.
It's getting very tasty around there, and even around, like you said there, Norwich picked up a win against Leicester. Like the bottom of the relegation zone there too is getting quite tasty as well.
It is.
Like surely West Ham can't go down, but they just look like they might go down. Like
I was gonna have a wee word in West Ham because we'll maybe talk about that later. I like West Ham and I kind of feel bad for them, but Spurs no Kane, Son's down. Jose is struggling a bit, but the thing is with that Spurs team too, they're conceding goals a wee bit as well. Like they conceded 3 there the day. They had, they conceded they lost at home to Leipzig in the Champions League.
Although imagine next season they'll probably pick up. Imagine once Jose gets a full pre-season with him under his belt and
Yeah.
gets a few signings in through the door, that they'll be more of a force next year.
Makes him defensively solid.
I think with this year, with the start of the year with Poch playing a completely different style of football, and then in the middle of the season it changes, and
To the complete opposite side of football.
opposite, and it's not like he has weeks and weeks in the training pitch. Still, it's game after game after game. So
it's kind of like obviously new manager, new style of play, and they've lost Christian Eriksen and Kane's been down. It's almost like a change of familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
With what they've been used to.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's like Lo Celso now is going to be pulling the strings as opposed to.
He's been looking pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah,
Lo Celso,
I like him, and even Stephen Bergwijn, who scored again today.
Yeah.
Looks like a damn good player, and I like Lucas Moura as well. Lucas Moura runs his lines very well.
It can be very hot and cold. Lucas a bit, But
it can be hot and cold, and the only thing is though that Spurs don't have a natural striker replacement.
Yeah.
So they're sort of running
Shout
with
out Troy Parrott, get the Irishman in there.
Absolutely.
Get him in there.
That Euro 20.
Michael Obafemi scored.
Aye. No, the top four race is getting tight, man. Like, I mean, there's gonna be there's gonna be some team that puts a wee run together here. Chelsea have been stumbling quite a bit recently as well. It's getting tight for Lampard as well. They took sort of Tammy Abraham out of that team, and
he's been injured now for a couple of months. He's only sort of back now the last sort of few days.
He sort of looked a bit. They looked like the focal point of the team had sort of it struggled. They didn't have a sort of. And then he sort of was refusing to put Giroud in for a period in time too. Batshuayi was doing nothing for him.
Mm-hmm.
But Chelsea have kind of had their struggles as well. There's just so much inconsistency with the teams that are there. Nobody it's very hard for men to string back-to-back wins together.
It's proven very difficult. But you know what I think as well, and sometimes you take it away from other sides. Just how difficult the Premier League actually is these days. See
we're gonna kill the narrative of it's a really bad league, is it? It's a really bad league.
Really
Farmers League.
Farmers League.
But it's just that. See, whenever you get teams that you're playing at the bottom of the league this time of year,
yeah,
they're really difficult because they're throwing everything at you. They're desperate. It's kind of like. Bournemouth have been so bad, but yesterday they give Chelsea a damn good game, and probably some ways you might look at it, they would have been unfortunate to get away with only a point, but even Watford against you boys there yesterday, and West, I know we've said you boys were playing a wee bit, not 100%, but teams that are balling out every year will get that. Every team has a wee slump where they're not playing 100%, but you look at West Ham, they give you a go, and Watford played very well even after Deulofeu went down and went off.
Yeah.
Arguably their best player. Them teams, when they get to this time of year, the latter stages of the season, whenever they know that they're in trouble, they start stringing in some big performances and make it difficult.
Oh yeah,
they do. There's a dodgy enough time of the year to try and string together a few wins.
It's hard, but I would like to look into something maybe when was the last time United, for an example, say United, Chelsea, Spurs, strung maybe 3 wins on the bounce together. They mightn't have done it all year.
Probably not.
In the league, maybe obviously you went and maybe
things.
You beat whoever you beat in the cup, but 3 back-to-back league wins. It's been tight there. That top 4 races get Sheffield are kind of still there.
We've done the treble over Chelsea this year. Screw Chelsea. We're gonna take their top 4 place off them.
Absolutely.
And then Wolves will take it off you.
Oh no, that's Sheffield United's fault.
I mean that could happen too. There's a.
5th place might be getting into the Champions League. Hey, that opens the door for someone.
I really don't. I think they're going to get it pushed back enough. I don't think they're going to have enough time to get. I know that right now the ban stands or whatever, but I don't know. They'll probably put an injunction in or something and try and get it suspended for a year, and then
they'll try something. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what way it goes, but. It'll be very tough to fight it out there for the top 4 now.
They can be so hated now. They'll be so hated now through this, considering they're guilty. Everyone knows they're guilty. Everyone's known for years that they're guilty. They're finally found out for being guilty, and now they're going to fight it in a technicality. It's come on,
Manchester,
get off it.
Manchester's fairly red, aye.
Well, there's. I suppose we're flicking back to this again a wee bit, but there's a whole knock-on effect with the two. That squad now is in a period where you kind of need to rebuild it. That Manchester City squad, it's getting a wee bit older, and now you've got a £30 million penalty on top of if you did get suspended, you would have a decrease in no European revenue, so it delays the if you're
process,
like if you're having to balance the books whilst then trying to rebuild the squad, you can't spend the money that you were intended to spend to do that because you don't have the same revenue. You don't have the European revenues where big teams make most of their money because everybody makes the same in the Premier League, and then that sort of covers your wage bill and expenditures. And then if you do well in Europe or you're in that league consistently, then that's where you can start to make money, spend money, sort of thing. But if they're not getting that revenue from European football, then that affects their books for the next however many years. That a 2-year ban can affect your books for 6 years or something. That sort of way.
Yeah, Chelsea Man City are very much in that sort of no
They're
doubt.
in trouble, like if it sticks.
Yeah,
if it sticks.
They're up there in terms of like competing for the league title and whatnot. But in terms of as you said, they're like almost in a slight rebuild in some areas around the park because Fernandinho now is winding down. They need another centre half because they're probably going to get rid of Otamendi at some point, and John Stones will probably do as a rotate because obviously Laporte's one of the top defenders in the league. So yeah,
I think now they'll be quite satisfied about selling Sané. They'll probably cash a big check for him, and then that'll. See, that's the thing too. When you think about Man City, they don't sell anybody to make any revenue either. That sort of route.
It's not like
it's not like Liverpool sell Coutinho for 140.
Well, if they're to Europe, you could see a clear outlook.
Mm-hmm.
With Raheem, did anyone see the interview after the Madrid City game where Raheem was doing a wee bit of flirting with Madrid? Like he was saying how great a club Madrid is, and how anyone would like to play for Madrid, and flirting with them like.
So that'll all come out now too. That'll all start happening. But I suppose the next point I have down here, we've covered it a wee bit. I wanted to talk a wee bit about the sort of new managers. I've got Arteta, Mourinho, and Ancelotti written down. Not the new managers, but boys in new places.
I suppose some of them have been in now since just after Christmas and New Year, but it takes like a couple of months before you see some of them results starting to come through. So definitely see a big improvement at Everton there, like today. Like especially that game that they're playing.
Everton went from worrying about relegation to like a slight outside chance at European football.
Well, not outside anymore. They're in like 8th.
Well, that's what Ancelotti brings to your team. Like he's proved and he's a proven winner. And he gets results. I mean, like he's went for Mason Holgate at centre half along with Michael Keane. But if you've seen that Arsenal game, Mason Holgate, and I think this is his point for playing him there. He's like he plays them there so we can he's quick. Not maybe the biggest or strongest, but he's certainly he's a ball playing player. So I think maybe that's what Ancelotti's want. He's got his big, strong, powerful defender Michael Keane, and he's sort of got a ball playing defender beside him. Whether he wants to roll with that down the line, I don't know. But in terms of playing today, very, very much high press, very much running flat out, very intense, and the two forwards in Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, very effective. Give Lindelof and Maguire problems.
They're two good young strikers, and if they can keep both of them for a few years, it could be.
I mean, it's Carlo Ancelotti on Everton's sideline, which still baffles me. Usually maybe kind of been flirting with a manager change, possibly. Spurs had the opportunity, Arsenal had the opportunity.
The more baffling part about it is that Arsenal and Everton were looking for a manager at about the same time. And Ancelotti was available, and he ended up at Everton. And the unproven Arteta has ended up at Arsenal. Though he's done a good job too.
I wanted to talk a wee bit about Arteta.
He's turned it around. A lot of draws in there, but he's turned it around.
He doesn't have the tools to entirely fit his style yet. If you're gonna, I know that I think people
Martinelli's looking better and better every time I see him.
Bukayo Saka's playing out of his skin.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know that some of these players have had an uptick, sort of an uptick in form under Mikel Arteta. But I mean, if you're gonna start asking Granit Xhaka and Shkodran Mustafi and things like that there to start playing this expansive, beautiful brand of football, Pep had to do a bit of a clear out at Man City, with some of the players that he had to move on and stuff like that there. There's going to have to be a wee bit of a rebuild at Arsenal. You're going to have to get a few of them players out. Socrates isn't going to be a play it from the back centre half.
No.
No.
David Luiz can, but we all know about David Luiz. He's getting up there in age, and he's always
bit liable.
Bit
He's it will take time, and he's sort of working with what he's got. But I think he sees the future as in he's got he's even brought Eddie Nketiah back.
I brought him back from loan.
And he put him in there. Was it last week against they were playing Everton?
Scored at the weekend. He scored yesterday, didn't he? Eddie Nketiah. No, or maybe it was midweek.
It was no, they're playing midweek at Olympiacos, but Eddie Nketiah was playing the week before anyway, and he bagged the goal. Yeah,
maybe that was it. I'm sorry.
He'll put him up top, and then what they're going to do with Aubameyang and Lacazette down the stretch, I don't really know.
Aubameyang's already 30, isn't he? 31 maybe.
They're both very, very good, but we mentioned this in a previous podcast. There are two players that are playing the same position, and it just hasn't worked.
No.
It didn't make much sense, bringing in Aubameyang 6 months after Lacazette. It's like you play with one up top, like.
Most teams play with a 3 up front, and it's one in the middle, and although Aubameyang's done fine from the left too, but that's just him being a really good footballer, like. But no, I can see why Arsenal went with Arteta. Like, it's hard to sort of define what like the sort of Manchester United way or the Liverpool way, or basically if you play good football and you win things, fans will get behind you anyway. As long as it's not absolutely dire football. Like, but like Arsenal have that sort of. They're the team in England that play the most beautiful brand of football. That sort of carry on. Like Wenger kind of instilled that in them. So I see why they did go for Arteta. It's like they thought, well, this is Pep's right hand man. Maybe we can get back to the Wenger ball, sort of thing. And that's maybe why they thought maybe Ancelotti's a bit older and maybe an older style of football. Arsenal's got an idea of the football they want to play, that sort of route.
I suppose maybe Ancelotti's renowned for. Well, Ancelotti's been in the Premier League with Chelsea, and he's been in.
Ancelotti's adaptable, man. You throw Ancelotti in any route.
Ancelotti's a great coach.
Because I was just going to suggest there that maybe they think he's too much of an old guard, and he's used to that way of playing a long time in Italy, but he's adapted everywhere else just fine, and he can adapt now when he's at Everton. But Arteta being appointed at Arsenal will be an interesting one. So far, I think the squad looks better and look happier, and they have been putting in better performances. I mean, even Mustafi's looks actually solid in a few games there.
Weirdly.
But since he's dyed that hair.
That's such a terrible footballer too. Like.
But they'll need a big clear out. I mean, that's a big job on there. Like.
At least we've sort of like there where we were maybe a year ago. Like we've actually begun to clear out. Like we haven't started signing replacements for half the players we've cleared out. Like, but. With like Smalling and Sanchez and Lukaku, and we've begun our clear out.
Very much.
Ashley Young.
Well, the thing is, again, sort of everything revolves around money these days in football, and this happened to Liverpool. Sort of in the mid, sort of in around that 2010. Obviously, we had our, owner issues at that time as well. But if you're not playing in the top European competition regular, sponsorships decrease.
Yep.
Transfer budgets become lessened, which all delays rebuilds. Like that sort of road. You can't obviously the financial fair play is clearly a thing, and it's clearly dishing out punishments now.
Yeah.
So if you're not, and Arsenal are probably the one outset with the biggest outside chance of making the top 4. Very doubtful. They could maybe make 5th or something, but again. If you're not making the money, if you're not getting that Champions League revenue, your budget and your obviously future planning then becomes much more difficult. Like this happened to Liverpool. We lost our sponsorship with Adidas. We ended up with like Warrior and stuff and all that sort of carry on. So
New Balance.
And New Balance did okay, but I mean, more so Nike kits and doing okay. But now, obviously, because we've been doing well again, now we've got a massive Nike sponsorship in the pipeline. So. This is the thing. These are the things that happen when you're not in the top European competition for a period of time. Usings have apparently Man United's books came out there recently and they recorded a loss again. Profits are down. So this is the thing. Like if you're not regularly appearing in the Champions League, your books will be affected at some point.
Yeah.
Which means that any ingoings and outgoings and stuff makes it harder. Like that sort of.
That's it.
So from talking about bad ownership and stuff, I wanted to speak a wee bit on West Ham because they had the wee protest that, against Liverpool there. They had like the black balloons and stuff out. They then had
an actual. Really wants Sullivan and Gold out of that club, like.
They had a big protest obviously then at the London Stadium and stuff. I feel really bad for West Ham. It must be cat for them, like.
Because they went in and did the same to Birmingham, and
I know, and like the worst thing is like they pulled them out of the bowl in there, and it was a tasty wee ground.
Aye.
It was lively. It was close to the pitch. It was
And they put
a
them in
tough
that
place to go to. Bowl.
Soulless bowl. Like,
Apparently there's a Westfields, or I think it's called, or something. It's like a shopping centre. So you come out of the train station and it says like shoppers this way, West Ham fans that way. Like, I mean, it's absolutely horrific. Like, it's just a bad move, and then obviously demolished Upton Park or whatever, I think, too. So
it's not good. It's kind of like was it Henry or Wenger says that whenever Arsenal, like obviously since Arsenal left Highbury, Arsenal always, like even like if up until Wenger left there and he had them 2 years before he left, where everybody was against him, like the fans were starting to say it's time to go. Like they still played brilliant football, but they never really won any leagues. I mean, they won like 3 or 4 FA Cups there in the space of 4 or 5 years. I mean, which is fair enough, and they've always finished top 4. But they says that once they left Highbury, the identity of Arsenal and the identity of the club was sort of left behind almost. It was very strange getting into that whole new Emirates Stadium and trying to find the identity, trying to find like, you know, the whole...
It's hard to pinpoint that sort of thing, like what do you think the culture of a club is and stuff. It is a wee bit difficult to sort of pin it down, but you know it when you don't have it. You know it when you don't have it. Like it was like when we had Roy Hodgson as our manager, it was like this isn't Liverpool. Like, you know, I mean, we could take a way past the sell by date Kenny Dalglish over Roy bloody Hodgson, like, you know, that sort of road. It just wasn't the correct fit. Like,
don't even be slagging Roy, like.
Even I suppose Mourinho for you, man. Now Mourinho's a successful manager and he did win you a couple of trophies, but there was that sort of underlying.
Mourinho's been the most successful manager at United since Fergie left. Like,
but there was that, like, you know, playing the United way, not, you know, setting up defensively at home and stuff. Things that don't really fit with the culture of the club and stuff. But it's completely dismantled West Ham, which is brutal because I have a soft spot for West Ham, definitely. And I mean, I don't know.
You're probably going to do a FIFA career mode tonight on them, aren't you?
Lad, I used to do FIFA career modes with West Ham regular, and see since they moved to the stadium, no, I haven't done it, lad.
You can't stomach that Olympic ground.
No, man, it's horrific.
But that's the thing. Like, see, whenever you play, like, it's almost like the 12th man, how effective the 12th man is, like with the fans. Like, see, whenever you're in the Berlin ground, even in Highbury as well, tight stadiums. Like, the fans are on top of you. It's noisy. It's difficult. It's intimidating. Like,
apparently all the fans are all over the place too, so they haven't got like a proper section. You know the way, like, you know, use of the Stretford end, we have the cop and stuff. Apparently, when they changed it over, they didn't consider like where to put people. They just renewed their tickets and threw them in. And
it'll be interesting to see when Everton moves from Goodison, but like a stadium is a big part of it. Like that would be like, you know, if they come in and just lifted us out of Old Trafford and stuck us into some, you know.
Well, there was talk of Liverpool moving too, and it was a no go. Like I don't mind moving. I don't think moving's a bad thing. But if you move the right way, like I think this move for Everton will be a good one because it'll, you know, Everton's actually got quite a small stadium and stuff. You know, it'll expand their, you know.
But even with yous, whenever you did some refurbishment on the stadium, like you know, it's still pretty much the same thing. Obviously, he's built the higher tiers or whatever, but it's still very intimidating. Like that whole atmosphere, like, you know, and it's very much the fans are almost on the side of the pitch. Is what really a stadium should
be. As Old Trafford.
Same as Old Trafford,
just right on the pitch. Like.
It's a kind of a European thing, being far away from the pitch, and I don't really appreciate it too much. Like we were at the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, yeah, and you're right bit back, like
you're right bit back. I mean,
at running tracks and stuff's not a good job.
And the problem is too, not to say that if you're not to say that maybe West Ham aren't. I don't know what the attendance is, but if you're not
over 60 or something, isn't it?
If you're not filling out at full capacity, like, you know, at the same time, it's
apparently, you know, we went for that Hertha game. And it was a packed house, but that was because it was Berlin, Munich.
Berlin, Munich.
But apparently, Hertha Berlin fans even complain about that because for most games it might just be like the bottom tier that's filled. So, you know, you don't have you see a pile of empty seats. The atmosphere doesn't carry as well because there's less people in it that it's built for. Plus, you get a pile of tourists and stuff too, which can take it out of it. Like,
it's still absolutely brilliant though, because the stadium just moves. Like the fans are just sort of moving around, and it's
different over there. But I mean, the atmospheres in England are different too. So I mean, if you've got a dead atmosphere in a stadium like West Ham's, it's brutal.
Plus, in England, the restrictions are a lot tighter.
Yeah, no drinking and stuff.
So it obviously has an effect as well. But it's also, if you even look at Italy there, see, like, isn't it Lazio and Roma playing Olympic ground?
Yeah.
Like, I know it's probably not. Maybe I'm not going to compare them to West Ham, but it's not the same, like, is it? When it's away, you like a stadium that's like even the San Siro's. Like,
Tighter,
I know it's an older sort of stadium, but the atmosphere would be a lot more.
No, it won't
on
be
you.
around
Then
very soon. Like
they're changing it up.
changing
too,
it up too.
Yeah, they're
San Siero's
too.
goal.
But if an example for everyone that moving, any team that's moving should, they'll probably look at the previous clubs moving and think.
I think Spurs moved quite well because they built the stadium quite narrow to the pitch, and the stadium Arsenal's bowl goes out the way, whereas Spurs goes up. It's very vertical.
Mm-hmm.
They've got that big stand and all too, so I think they did okay with it.
Ah, that's right, Spurs. Yeah,
Mhm.
they've done it quite well actually. Just when you say that, yeah.
What do you think about the transfer sort of? They come through a couple of weeks ago. Hakim Ziyech to Chelsea.
Yeah, I was. You would have thought they would have paid maybe a wee bit extra to try and get him in for the running, but sort of Mason Mount sort of found his level, like, hasn't he? And they're kind of lacking that wee bit of sort of creativity. You would have thought maybe, but then maybe Ajax were being stubborn or whatever. So it's hard to know too. Good, tidy wee player.
Tidy player, like good dribbler, technical player, like.
I don't
could
like
be a good player.
I don't like the move obviously because it's that Ajax team that were in the Champions League a couple of seasons ago was brilliant to watch. Like,
pulled apart.
Kind of been pulled apart a bit.
Donny van de Beek now is going to be the next fella to move, and
David Neres maybe as well.
David Neres, like Dusan Tadic and Dili Blind will probably stay around, but in terms of like them younger fellas, but that's the thing with Ajax, they'll always have somebody else coming through.
No, certain. So I think that's fair enough for the English football anyway, gents. I've written down a few other wee things we could maybe go over. We'll maybe go with the Champions League. Actually, do you know where we'll start? We'll start with
Liverpool's defeat last night.
Well, we've already talked about that.
Well, but we need to talk about it again.
I was going to talk about the Barcelona Braithwaite move.
That's another.
It's absolutely sensational. How crazy that is! Like,
it's mental.
It just shows how corrupt La Liga is. Like how badly it's run.
So for anybody that's listening,
how top heavy La Liga is. Like.
So the most people that's listening to this probably will follow football anyway. It'd be weird if you were listening and you didn't. We appreciate you anyway. For anybody, or even for some people that maybe don't know. So Barcelona appealed apparently. Well, first of all, every player in a Spanish team has to have a release clause in their contract. This is why you see them things like when, say, I don't know, Neymar moved to Barcelona, his release clause was 800 million. Something outrageous that nobody can. You have to have a release clause in Spanish contracts, apparently.
Once a release clause is triggered, then the team is
Neymar's release clause. It was like what they paid for him was like 200 and something million, and they were like, no one will ever trigger that. And then PSG was like, here,
once it's triggered, the team has no say on.
No say.
It's all.
It's a release clause. So Barca appealed to the Spanish league, and apparently they have some thing where if you have a stack of injuries, you can sort of appeal to make a transfer outside of the regular transfer windows. They let them do that, and then they signed Martin Braithwaite. And
former Middlesbrough
is Martin Braithwaite. Like, it's a big talking point. He's not going to do anything anyway, to be fair.
He got an assist.
The best thing is that Barca left two players go on loan in January. They sent two players out on loan in January, two attacking players. Actually, one of them scored, I think, in the Europa League as well too. So I think it was for maybe Braga or something. So they paid the release clause. I can't remember. Was it 15 million or maybe? Can't mind.
Something like that.
Whatever it was, they paid the release clause, and then the team that they signed Braithwaite, was it Levante or something?
Leganes.
Sorry. Leganes. So Leganes then said that, like, well, that's not fair. We're now down a player. Can we sign somebody?
No.
And they were like, no. It's absolutely mental. Like.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Now Leganes are going to struggle and
probably get relegated.
Probably get relegated, aye. But, like, I mean, you're all about City getting done for financial fair play. There's friggin' right in front of you daylight of them, saying, oh, Barcelona, go on ahead. What about the wee team at the bottom? No, let them go. Is it any wonder that the financial stability of teams in Spain outside of the big clubs are absolutely dire?
Oh, well, this is it. They get a higher. It's not like the Premier League. They get a higher cut of the TV revenue. So the teams that are on TV the most get the bigger split of the pot.
In the Premier League, everyone gets.
It's divided evenly, which is fair.
Which is the way it should be. Like,
that's why I'd say Barca, Real, and all never really get slapped with any of these financial penalties too much.
Because they get plenty of money.
They get plenty of backing. And then there's the whole.
Which I'd be the same as ourselves and things, though, as you were saying, our finances have sort of stagnated at the minute. But clubs like even Liverpool, United, and things get that much income from just international support, and
Yeah.
you know,
It's tough going for teams. Like, I mean, that was a shocker. You know,
No,
it's absolutely ridiculous.
yeah.
So I was watching a wee bit of the Bundesliga there. We can maybe skate over it a wee quick minute. It's a tasty wee title race. It may be the best title race
The
so far.
Bundesliga is so entertaining this season. Like, it's been very good. Like, and
I was watching.
I think they're not only like 7 or 8 points separating top and like maybe 7th.
6th or 7th.
It's all very close.
You know,
there.
Bayer Leverkusen's in and around the mix. Dortmund as well. Mönchengladbach as well. Bayern Munich obviously as well.
Bayern or
Leipzig.
Bayern Munich as it stands, or after all 24 games played.
I think not Leipzig, Mönchengladbach maybe have a game in hand, do they?
They do. They have an game in hand, which if they win that, they'll be up to 49 points, joint with Leipzig. But Leipzig drew today against Bayern Leverkusen at home, so they're 3 points behind Bayern. And Bayern, we'll have to get onto this. The Bayern game yesterday was absolutely outrageous.
I suppose we should talk about that.
It was crazy.
So what happened it was actually in Hoffenheim, I think. It was in it was. They
were 6-0 down at this stage.
Yeah, so Hoffenheim were 6-0 down v Bayern, and German football is very politically active. It's got a lot of the fans. Well, right. First of all, there's a 50+1 rule in German football, so that it means that the club owns its majority shares. So it means that a financial investor cannot own the majority stake of the club, which means that the club has fan representatives. It still runs it, so it's to prevent a situation like maybe yourselves are having with the Glazers. Basically,
get them out.
You'll start them again, Dave.
The team owns its own rights, or the team owns its majority shares, so there can't be a majority shareholder. It's probably why maybe some of some of the German teams maybe don't compete regularly very well on the European stage, maybe because they can't, have the financial investment from some people. But it keeps there's
financial doping that City received.
Yes, exactly, pretty much. But there's a culture in Germany about, like, even if your team's not, it's more about the culture than winning a lot of the time too. I've watched a few documentaries on it. They enjoy the actual football and going to support the team and the culture around the team more than actually winning. They don't really care too much if they win. So they're very politically active. And what happened was Hoffenheim came up into the Bundesliga, I think maybe 2009 or something.
It was around that time.
And they spent an absolute dung load of money, and this owner that they have is a billionaire, and he's been flashing the cash basically. So Bayern put up like a banner in the away end yesterday, basically slagging the Hoffenheim owner
for what he does.
This happens to Leipzig all the time too. They don't like Leipzig because of Red Bull. It's actually not Red Bull Leipzig. It's apparently like Rationsball Leipzig, so because they can't actually have it in the name, so they've just said like whatever it is.
Yeah.
They don't like Leipzig. They don't like Bayer Leverkusen because Bayer's a pharmaceutical company. They don't like Leverkusen as well. So there's all these teams. And then the game was delayed, halted. Players went off. Ex-players went over to tell them to take it down out of the away stand, and then they basically played the last 15 minutes by just kicking the ball to each other.
For the last 15 minutes, they walked around and passed the ball to each other, and like they were walking, like Hoffenheim players were chatting to the Bayern players, and they're passing it amongst the different two teams, chatting away and laughing away. Not really laughing away, but you know what I mean. Just sort of like, it was a very strange thing.
It's a very strange thing.
I've never seen anything like it. But the funny thing was that, like on the likes of, live football, apps like, for instance, we use Flash Score. You're checking live scores. I thought I would check this for the banter.
I was see the really decent. I was watching. At the time I was actually watching Freiburg, Dortmund yesterday, and I thought I'd watch that game because there's good half two kickoffs as well. So I was watching Freiburg Dortmund, and then I heard about the Bayern game.
So basically what happened was that last 15 minutes after, like the two teams agreed that there was 6-0, the game was basically over. They would just pass the ball amongst themselves and wind the clock down.
Yeah.
So just the way on some games you get live score, you can go in to see the lineup and stats and the summary, and obviously the live commentary breakdown, and like wee small comment section. So it showed here on 78 minutes, the match will be interrupted for a while due to some disruptions. On the 80th minute, then it says everything seems to be all right after the game was interrupted. The referee blows his whistle and the match can continue. So this is within effect now that they're passing the ball around and winding the clock down. 82 minutes. Bayern Munich keep possession of the ball by producing short passes and 1-2 passes from player to player, which is, I suppose, fair enough. 85th minute, Hoffenheim are dominating the game at the moment by exchanging a combination of 1 or 2 touch passes. Great harmony between the players. 88 minutes, Bayern Munich are showcasing great teamwork by exchanging some short passes and 1-2 passes, waiting to open the opposition's defence and hit them swiftly on the break. 90 minutes, that's all for the game today. The game is finished.
Oh, that's good, eh? No, that was a madness, that one.
That's something I've never seen before.
No. I was going to have just a wee quick word in Serie A too. Serie A is getting tasty as well. Let's have a nice wee quick...
I'm enjoying Lazio and their form this season, like, and Inter Milan as well. They're looking real good, like, and, you know...
It's the first time I would say in about 8 or 9 years where it's been...
Here's a question I'm going to throw out there to you too, and, I mean, you can beat me down if you want, or you can agree with me if you want, but, you know, it's an opinion I have that may be controversial.
Oh, here we go.
Maurizio Sarri is not a good manager.
I don't understand what you mean. I think he is a good manager.
Well, he's obviously a good manager, like, you know, let's not get carried away, but he's not a top manager. He's not this great manager that everyone says he is.
I think he's a good... I think the problem is that you're going into a team that has a very structured identity and has had for like the last 100 years, and you're trying to completely change that identity and turn it around. Like, there's nobody happier in Italian football to play the Italian football way than Juventus. Like,
but the best managers are adaptable, and Maurizio Sarri is the most unadaptable manager I've ever seen. Like, he's so stubborn, stuck in his ways, and refuses to.
But these are the things that got him to the top. So,
has he ever been to the top? I don't remember Napoli winning anything.
But he finished Napoli second in the league, and Napoli.
Did he get a medal for second in the league? Did he?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
If you want to...
He won the Europa League.
But Maurizio, or Marcelo Bielsa has won nothing to shout about, and, you know, you really back him. But, like,
because Bielsa's a good manager.
He's talking Maurizio Sarri was managing, like...
I don't agree with your statement, Deb. I don't agree with what you're saying.
I said it was controversial, but I just threw it out that I don't rate Sarri that highly. Like, he's obviously a good manager, but I don't think he's a great manager.
Well,
I think he's stubborn, stuck in his own way.
There's plenty of other managers in the last 7 years when Juventus have won the title every single season that haven't won the title. Like.
Aye, but I mean, like, they're actually doing worse attacking ways this season than they were, and they've fallen apart defensively. Like, they have deep, like, you know, but haven't improved at all.
It's a very hard way for them sort of to bring in very pragmatic managers for most of their existence. Juventus, like, very pragmatic managers, and then come in with this completely different, you know, style as well too. Especially when all the players, like, you know, Chiellini's there.
Like, Chiellini's there.
You're gonna like have Chiellini playing with a high line and, you know, spreading balls around the place.
Chiellini's been injured all season. It's been Bonucci and De Ligt and Demiral.
That's arguably why they've maybe been a wee bit sort of poorer defensively.
No, it's because they have a shape manager.
I don't agree
with anything you're saying. I mean, they're sitting
there. That's fair. I was just saying I have a controversial opinion that you probably won't agree with, and you didn't agree.
But all I'm saying is that, you know, I don't know why you're giving him such a hard time, because he was at Chelsea, and, like, to be fair, that whole stint at Chelsea,
he did a fairly good job in Napoli. Had them playing some really tasty football, like. But
well, that was the Italian.
Finished Chelsea third in the league. Won them a Europa League and got sacked because of it.
Exactly.
I mean, didn't he get sacked? He got piked by Juventus.
I am sure Chelsea really fought his corner.
Well, like, they're sacking.
The Napoli didn't. Like,
no, they didn't. No.
You know, you got a handshake and I'll see you later. Like.
They're sacking in Serie A with a game in hand over Lazio, so if they win, they're a point ahead of Lazio. I mean,
to be honest, it's not that I couldn't care less for Sarri wins it or not. I would just like to see the sort of dominance of Bayern and Juve and them two separate leagues be split for a season, because they've won about 6 or 7 in the trot now, both of them. So
yeah, it's kind of like France as well. Like, them 3 leagues are all dominated by one team. I mean, it was refreshing to see Monaco win it that year.
Even they bought their way to it too. Like.
And even then too, it was arguable about it. But yeah.
I suppose then we'll move on and we'll maybe finish out. There's one other wee sort of last point I'll make. But
actually, sorry, just say before. Before we leave Italy, Atlanta. They were playing today.
What do you call their manager? Gasperini, is it?
For
Atlanta.
Atlanta, the manager for them is Gasperini. Yeah.
Gasperini's a great coach. Like, he's got them playing some great stuff. Like,
they were
bring him into Juventus. Here's who Sarri hard's done. Like,
no, sure. Players in Italy and managers in Italy. They float about 6 different teams. They don't seem to have any loyalty to each other.
Gasperini, he was at. I was gonna.
Sure, can't taste it
Was
Inter
it
Milan.
Fiorentina he was at before?
He was at Juve.
They all bounce about.
Oh, yeah.
But Atalanta, like, I mean, obviously they're in the Champions League.
Oh, they had a great season last year too. Like they've really.
We'll get on to the Champions League a bit more in a wee while, but obviously they played that first leg at home to Valencia, which they won 4-1. Atlanta have goals in them. They are fourth at the minute in Serie A, and before today they had conceded 34. The highest scores was 70 in the league. And after today, they won 7-2 away. So 77 goals scored now in the year, which is ahead of all the other teams.
That's usually what the top scorers in the league means, yes.
Well, I'm saying they're ahead of the likes of.
There's a reason that you're on this podcast, Dave.
They're ahead of the likes of Lazio, who's on 60, and well, I suppose this is a statement to back up Dev's say about sorry, Juventus have only scored 48 goals this year.
Of course they have, because they haven't, for this great attacking coach, he's got no attacking nous whatsoever.
But you're still wrong.
Nous, he says.
You're still wrong. We'll move on.
Anyway, so I suppose the other one we're gonna have to talk about is the Champions League. So the first round. Don't ever do that again.
Do you like that, dude?
No, I didn't, because I have to edit the fucking thing.
Did you just curse?
I did, but I'll cut that out. Don't worry, I'll edit it myself. I'll know it after the massive screaming that he did in the mic. I'll know what's coming next.
Oh, you definitely keep that in, because you want to know that we're on the Champions League.
Right, maybe. That'll not get us copyrighted. So Champions League football. The first round of the round of 16 started. Liverpool lost away to Atletico. We sort of already covered that a wee bit. It was a very scrappy game. Atletico were more than happy. I would nearly say that they'd been happy with 0-0.
Well, we'll go for, now we're going through the first legs. We'll also discuss what we think will happen in the second legs.
I suppose we could do with Liverpool. I think we're going to slap the living hell out of them.
Well, you have to think that.
No, I just think that there's no pressure now in the league to keep a winning run going. It'll all be focused on the Champions League.
I reckon you'll go through, but if you think you're going to go and put 4 or 5 by a Simeone team, you're not going to go and slap them.
No, I just think it's going to be hella lively. There'll be a bus welcome. It'll be lively from about 6:30 in Liverpool. The place will be bouncing. There'll be plenty of flares. It'll be lively.
I can see he's going through, but slapping them's a bit of an exaggeration. Simeone team's not going to go.
I think we'll
5.
I think we'll score 3 anyway.
Jesus. Simeone's got something to say about that, Dale?
Simeone will be alright in the morning.
Not if he concedes 3, he won't.
The next one I have down is actually Atalanta Valencia. We kind of, when we were doing our January wrap up, we sort of took the hand out of this tie a wee bit. We sort of just said yes, they are both good teams.
Aye, we did, yeah.
And yes, one of them will go through and one of them will go out, and then the next one will go out in the following round probably. But that was a hell of a performance from Atalanta.
I watched that game actually.
Atalanta, they're a real good team. They're exciting. They're fun to watch. They've a much better coach than Sarri.
Do you hear him?
Sarri might be maybe the 4th best coach in the league. Inzaghi's good. I like Gasperini. Can't beat Conte.
He's full of beans today, isn't he?
Oh, he's perked up.
He's perked up a wee bit,
that was a hell of a performance from him.
It was.
Obviously, Valencia scored late on. That gives them a wee bit of hope, but you would imagine Atalanta will maybe buy one in Spain, so
it'll be enough to
take them through. I had sort of stated that this I thought would be the tie of the round. This next one was obviously Dortmund 2, PSG 1. I said that it would probably be goals. There was goals, but maybe not as many as I thought. It was kind of a cagey first half. We touched nearly even in that game.
I didn't. I've seen the highlights of the game, but Haaland,
he scores a lot of goals. Is that young man?
He's 40 in 30 something games in this season.
Yeah.
No, he's just ridiculous.
He's fast and he's strong, and his shot is unbelievable. His finishing's outrageous. Do you know what?
In that game, it was against PSG, wasn't he? Did that 60 meter sort of almost world record speed, where he just sort of took off.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. I think that might have been in the league, was it?
It only dawned on me a wee while ago that his dad used to play for Man City.
That's the one that
Kane broke the leg on. Because I remember,
Alfinga Haaland.
I was thinking that name. I wonder the two connecting. Obviously, they were because his son's a lot better than his dad.
That second leg is going to be lively because you would imagine PSG being at home, they'll bag a goal, and then
there's a lot more to go.
Game on, so I think that the second leg of that could be a goal fest.
There's a lot more to happen.
First,
there's a lot more to happen there. Yeah.
Next one, obviously Spurs Leipzig. Spurs were completely impotent in that game. They sat back. They were trying to soak up the pressure. It was maybe Leipzig were all over them, and
They
had
could
them pinned
be.
in.
I think Spurs could be in trouble here. I know there's no better man really than Mourinho to go and take you and get you.
Draw 0-0 at home and then beat you 1-0 away.
Aye.
Or draw 1-1 away and you're away through. But
The only-
they were in trouble. They've lost the game 1-0. They're a away goal behind.
And Leipzig are damn good at home, like so.
Timo Werner looks alright, you know.
Stop it.
He's got a wee release clause, you know.
Have
It
you
has to be
got the-
triggered
have
by
you-
the end of March.
Have you got the Leon one down at all?
I do. Have Leon down. Have Leon beaten.
You look very happy, Dave. You look like you're really smiling. Is that because Sarri was managing during
Just
that
don't
game?
rate Sarri, boys.
Well,
Haven't rated Sarri.
I'm gonna
Still don't rate Sarri.
to
Leon are sitting 7th in, League One. They're having a poor season. They have no Depay. Their injuries galore, and they went and beat Sarri's mighty attacking side.
You're very anti-sorry here, lad. This is incredible.
He's got a vengeance today. Whatever's going on.
Just wanted to, throw it out there. They just shat all over me. So
Well, I'll throw one out here. So when our January wrap up, I said that Bayern Munich are going to slap the living hell out of Chelsea. And
You're
got
right.
an awful lot of pushback on that from you, Christopher. And Bayern Munich slapped them 3-0 away.
Well, that game's over, but can we go back to the Juventus game? Because do you think Ronaldo can show up and send them on through? Like,
Yes.
Ronaldo's had a wee
do you
bit
think
of
there's
form
any?
recently.
Ronaldo isn't good form, like, but do you think there's any chance that we could see Juve dumped by Leon?
Nah, I don't think so.
It's tough going to Juve Stadium and trying to.
I suppose if Leon score,
That's it. Like, it's
Leon
not.
score, Juve need 3. I wouldn't be upset with Leon dumping Juve out as an R team out of Liverpool's road, but
Would you settle yourself?
no, I think I couldn't. I don't know. Leon have had it rough since the Pays went down. Hassam Aouar had a good game. That he's playing some stuff. He'll be snapped up pretty soon. Centre midfielder, the young French lad. I think he's 20, 21. He'll be snapped up, I'd imagine, pretty soon by some big team.
Yeah.
He had a good game. No, I couldn't see it. I think Juve will have enough nous to get through there. You could see them winning 2-0 and just being done with it, couldn't you?
No chance in hell anyone giving Chelsea.
Absolutely not. Aye.
That ties over. Like,
That's dead and
buried
buried.
and signed, sealed, delivered.
Aye, it could have been worse. It could have been much, much worse.
Yeah, what do you call him? Muller hitting the crossbar from 6 yards, way header. Should have put that away.
The Alphonso Davies show then. The young Canadian, we actually did speak about Alphonso Davies in the
Oh,
January.
he's so fast. Like, he still doesn't have that sort of football brain down, but he's very young. But as an athlete, like, Jesus, he is so fast, and strong, and powerful.
Bayern are kind of playing with nearly the 3 at the back. They line up with Ben Pavard or Benjamin Pavard at the right back spot, and he's not an attacking wing back. So he kind of slots in as a 3, which allows Alphonso Davies on the left just the free rein to bomb forward.
Get up and get up.
So he just ran the show, give everybody on Chelsea's right hand side an absolute torrid time for 90 minutes. Made Azpilicueta, and Azpilicueta is a really decent, solid defender, and made him he was obviously playing in the 3, I think, but he went by him a few times and just made him look so bad. Lewandowski ruined everybody with a brilliant game too. Could have been a lot worse.
The Real game and City game.
Well, I was going to do it last. I'll do this one. Napoli-Barca was a wee bit tepid, I thought. It was a wee bit of a... Barcelona were tepid.
Barcelona have been not great this season. Napoli have been not great this season.
Just
looks
like
two teams.
Well, Barca's transitions coaches as well.
Barcelona, the only reason... I would say even for the last 2 to 3 years, the only reason Barcelona's been any sort of threats because they have the best player on the planet. If they didn't have Leo Messi has scored ridiculous goals, got ridiculous assists and carried them through a serious amount of games, but without Leo Messi...
but you're age now too, and it's to the point where you want to be in Ronaldo's shoes with his last maybe season, say at Madrid, and now with Juve, you want the team to carry him now. You don't want to be he has to carry us through. You want to be we'll do all the dirty work and grind and all that there, should we carry on and give you a chance to win the game.
That's the way it needs to be. But right now, Messi's coming into sort of mid-30s, and he's still the one that he always has to pick the ball up. He has to be the one to beat 2 or 3 men and take a pass, or beat 2 or 3 men and take a shot, or You know, he has to be the man.
Recruitment's been weird for Barcelona. Like the Coutinho thing obviously didn't work out. Who's doing okay at Dortmund?
Dembele.
What was Griezmann?
Griezmann.
He's playing terribly.
Dembele's been racked with injuries.
Who thought that an aging Griezmann coming in made financial sense for 100+ million? Like,
it's not worked out well.
But it's all right. They've signed Martin Braithwaite.
Martin Braithwaite's come to save the day.
Martin Braithwaite has been there.
Scores the final in the Champions League. Could you imagine?
He scored another goal against us, so he did. The Irish. And
true.
again for Denmark.
True.
He did.
Denmark,
Why do we always play Denmark and they always ruin us? It just tears us apart.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd probably save the most interesting title last. So City are facing, obviously we've talked about it plenty, European ban. They're facing the biggest club in European and probably world football in Real Madrid.
Played them off the park.
And played them off the park entirely till they went behind.
Yeah.
And then Real looked hella dangerous, really dangerous at times. Could have scored. There was about a 5-10 minute period in the second half, I think it was, when Real looked real dangerous, and you were like, this is what Real do. They lull you into like it's a real slow paced game, and then out of nowhere they'll catch you, and then they'll catch you with another one, and now you're 2 down and the tie's in jeopardy. But
well, they have to go now to the Etihad and get a performance, and obviously they have no Hazard, who's had a nightmare year as well. But obviously they're going without Ramos, because Ramos is just.
I love your love for Sergio Ramos, He's giving me a face. It's not worth talking about.
26, or maybe it was it now 27 red cards in his career.
He's still one of the greatest centre backs of our generation.
I love him.
Yeah,
I hate him because of what
fantastic.
he did to Mo Salah.
I don't dispute his quality or what he's achieved. I just can't have him.
I don't like him as a person, but as a footballer, he's absolutely fantastic, and I would want him in my team all day long.
Absolutely.
Just the shithousery, like
The shithousery.
every team needs some shithousery, and that man is full of shithousery.
Oh, it's so good. It was so frustrating watching it, the final against us, but at the same against Liverpool. But he's a team player like Sergio Ramos.
He's cat like.
Oh, he is, but he's also absolutely fantastic.
Well,
He just hit Real Madrid, lad.
Oh, absolutely, all day, every day.
I hate Madrid too.
But the only thing I would say is, like, yes, he is absolutely brilliant, and he would get into any team in the world without a shadow of a doubt. And yes, he has them qualities that you do want: somebody who's a wind-up merchant, somebody who can, bully strikers and whatnot. But it doesn't excuse the fact for 26 career red cards. It's ridiculous.
Not that much, lad.
It's
a few red cards.
Few red cards.
What's a few red cards between mates?
Kevin De Bruyne had a blinder.
Kevin De Bruyne is the best midfielder on the planet.
He's a dick. Well, that wasn't for De Bruyne, that was for Ramos. De Bruyne's a good player. Like, I like De Bruyne.
De Bruyne had a blinder.
De Bruyne is the best midfielder on the planet, and he's one of the best players on the planet. Like,
another wee thing I'd like to get a dig at you, Christopher, is that we put out our podcast this week on our youth 11 or our future 11 for the 2020s team, and Tommy Abraham got in it, which I was very angry about, and Gabriel Jesus.
Why are you looking to give abuse to me whenever he's the one who put Tommy in his team? Well, that's because I had to choose between you two. I wanted Greenwood in all day long. Like.
Well, right, the Perry is this is for you. Tommy Abraham was sitting, obviously he was a wee bit hurt, but he was sitting on the bench against Bayern Munich watching Chelsea get slapped, and Gabriel Jesus
that was his first game back from injury.
He's not still carrying an ugly injury?
That was his first
I
game back
literally
from
just
injury.
said that he was back from injury. I don't care. Gabriel
You're not going to put a man on that's sort of half, only 50%, put him on to change the game.
Gabriel Jesus was in the Bernabeu having a blinder, playing like right wing back, centre forward, scoring goals. Gabriel Jesus is better than Tommy Abraham.
Might be. Greenwood's better than both of them.
Is he? Because he could sub today. I know.
Well, better getting sub than being a sub.
Behind Aguero. Not behind,
we'll see. We don't question his ability. It's just I want to see how he gets on when he starts full time.
We flicked goal ratios in the other day too into the group chat as well. That is his goal ratio.
That's all right coming off the bench.
My point is,
It's hard to come off the bench.
I don't think he's ever going to be City's main striker, but that's.
So Tommy Abraham's going to be Chelsea's main striker because he's getting a replacement.
I tell you what, if Tommy hadn't got injured, Tommy is only 70 goals off 20 this year, and he's missed
feisty in here.
Tommy would have been on course for 20 this year if had he not got injured. He probably won't get it.
Because I'm straight in on the Greenwood, who's better than both of them. Train like.
Fair enough, but
Greenwood's good, like.
Well.
And as the seasons went on, I put Martinelli a bit ahead of both of them. Greenwood and Martinelli.
Gabriel Jesus is better than the lot. No, he had a good game. Obviously, he scored a goal in the Bernabeu, all that sort of carry on. Him and Kevin De Bruyne were absolutely outstanding. I thought we'd round out then because we're over an hour already. We're in 10 actually. Just a wee quick thing. I've seen the Premier League's doing a Hall of Fame now.
Oh,
It looks
yeah.
like
I've seen that.
I like it.
Shearer and Giggs are in, I think.
It's
Just
like
about,
them
isn't
two
it?
will be the first two. Being honest, like, you know, it probably should just be completely United dominated for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Like, you know, from Premier League started in 1992, it's been United's league. Like, if they're inducting managers, Fergie needs to be the first manager, Paul Scholes needs to be in, David Beckham needs to be in, Eric Cantona needs to be in, Wayne Rooney needs to be in, you know, Ryan Giggs obviously is going in, you know.
There's going to be a lot of United. There'll be a few Arsenal, you would imagine, too, at some point.
Henry.
Because, like, I understand, like, you know, they can't just put all United players in, you know, this might sound a bit biased, but they can't just put all United players in, you know, at the start. But, you know, when it comes to it, like, you know, if someone like a sort of Stevie Gerrard or like a Jamie Carragher or someone like that who maybe didn't win anything in the Premier League wise, you know, if they go in ahead of like a Ryan Giggs or a Paul Scholes, like it,
No, I know what you're
shouldn't,
saying.
you know what I mean? It shouldn't be the case.
No.
You know, they obviously should go in, but not ahead of like some of the United legends who have won so many, like, you know.
Yeah, it's a league that's been going for what, like 28 years now, and for what, maybe 20 of them, yous were thereabouts pretty much every single year. So
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be very heavily. If it's done right, it should be very heavily United dominated for the foreseeable future. Like,
Rooney as well.
They're doing two a year, so it'll probably start out early enough. I think a lot of the 90s United players should get in, and then Arsenal should probably be heavily featured then too. And then it should just go with how the Premier League went. Sort of maybe a period of a few years, who was the best players in that time for the teams. Like, you know, you'll have to have like your John Terrys will have to go in, your Frank Lampards probably.
They'll have to go in.
Drogba's too.
Drogba's will go in. Like,
Thierry Henry, Paddy Vieira,
Company as well for maybe the last.
Vincent Kompany down the line will get in. You have to be retired apparently now to get in. So
fair enough.
But Vincent Kompany down the line will definitely get a shout, I'd imagine as well. I think
Gerrard obviously Rio will get in too.
Well, it'll be hard to know because it'll probably be like a longevity thing too, and you know Rio did have a long spell at the top, obviously even with Leeds and stuff too. Vidic's career in the Premier League was a wee bit shorter and stuff.
He still won.
Five
times as many Premier League titles as Steven Gerrard.
All nods in here. All nods in here.
Good man, Dave. Good work.
That's good,
Look at Davey. The face is flying off him. Just like it was last night when they lost 3-0.
Oh, no.
Well. He was fumers, Dave. He was absolutely fumers.
Well, you can say all you want, like, you know. Jimmy Traore's got a fucking Champions League medal, and who's somebody you'd use? Like Marcus Rashford has got in it.
Hey,
Jimmy Traore's got a Champions League.
Rashford's got an FA Cup, a League Cup, and a Europa League medal, kid, and he's only 21.
So he'll go his whole career out win the league.
Steven Gerrard did that.
The last time I checked, Rashford was only 22, isn't he? Plenty of time left yet, I would say.
I'd say so too.
Well, Jimmy Traore and Igor Biscan are running around with Champions League medals, and usually like Marcus Rashford. So Gerrard will probably get in just because it's Steven Gerrard.
Oh no, he deserves to get in. Yeah. But I'm just saying, you know, if they were doing
Other
it right,
than that, I'd have a very hard time saying anybody for Liverpool getting in. Maybe Jamie Carragher for longevity, and you know, he did win a few FA Cups and stuff too. Like, so maybe longevity will get Carragher in, but he could be a ways down the line. Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you start seeing people, you know, going ahead of people who, like, you know, like your Eric Cantonas, your Wayne Rooney's, or you know.
Yeah.
But then I suppose you have to, even within that, to make it, because you want it to be like the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is the NFL's Hall of Fame. You do not want it to be like the NBA's Hall of Fame. You want it to be like the cream of the crop. You want it to be like the real top. You know, you don't want it to be like not to single out any United player, but like maybe like I don't know who would be
a Carrick. A Carrick.
You know, Carrick could maybe have a good wee shout for it, but I mean like
someone down the line. You know. Darren Gibson.
Even the likes of maybe like Dennis Irwin or something might have a hard time, you know.
Enough of that there, Dennis Irwin.
Maybe, but I mean, like, you know, if you're taking players out of that United team, you just can't go the 1 to 11 and that 1998-99 team's getting in. Like, you know, you want to.
That's the way I would do it.
You would want it to be like, Keane gets in, Scholes gets in. You know, the big ones, the big hitters. You know, that's sort of more so. You want it to be the elite.
Our 2008 team had like 8 or 9 world-class players, you know. Right
I
across
think
the
it
team would have been people who get into every single team in the planet.
Just quickly, I think, did you watch the Monday Night Football thing that Carragher and Neville did, like the best teams in Football League history? It was interesting. The 2008 team actually ended up ahead of the
99.
99 team.
I've seen that. The 2008 team, like, you know, as we've been saying on that, you know, if you just think about it, you know, some of the players, like, you know, Van der Sar had walked in any team in the world, so would Evra, so would Vidic, so would Ferdinand, so would Scholes, so would Giggs, so would Rooney, so would Tevez, so would Ronaldo, you know what I mean?
I know what you're
That
saying.
team was just absolutely full of world-class players. Like.
It was.
And not to forget Park.
Gee, son.
Park, wherever you may be.
Aye, well, that was dead on, fellas. We'll be back next month to record our March football wrap-up.
Oh, we certainly will do.
Liverpool maybe have the
Then
league
once
title in the bag by that stage.
Well, maybe.
What did you just say there?
Oh, I will have the league title in the bag by that stage.
We'll also considering, you know, we probably should say it after the air, but we're going to say it on the air for the crack. I was saying we should do like, you know, now we're a good bit out from the Euros, you know,
early predictions maybe.
early predictions video, so we can see how awful.
Could do
how
that.
awfully wrong we are.
We'll have plenty of stuff coming up around the Euros and all that carry on too. There'll be end of season reviews. We'll maybe get discussing
transfer reviews.
Yeah, maybe like a wee discussion like the Monday Night Football lads had, depending on how like Liverpool maybe end this season and great teams and all that carry on. We'll have to talk about City and all that. But yeah, we got good news this week. We're up on iHeartRadio now, along with our Podbean and our YouTube channels.
Still waiting to hear from Spotify.
Says Christopher.
But go check us and click like, subscribe, as Def would say,
yeah,
and also
like, subscribe, comment, give her some love, and you know,
check out the Instagram page and the Twitter account, and follow, and
our nerd culture stuff will be up on a Monday. We'll have an American sports section on Tuesday, and our football stuff will be up every Thursday.
If someone likes, shares, comments, and subscribe, I promise to send them a sexy photo.
He will. He'll send you a nip slip.
That's going to definitely turn everybody off. So, thanks very much. Keep listening, keep liking, keep sharing, keep downloading. We appreciate it all. We'll be delaying a few of our other podcasts, obviously, coming out because we want to throw this one out at the start of the month. Hope we'll be back at the end of next month to talk more football, more current football. We'll have plenty of other football topics coming out. We have some tasty ones in the pipeline, some nice wee retro football and different things like that there, some cool stuff. So keep listening. We definitely appreciate it, and that'll do us for the night, lads. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good luck.
Cheers. Thanks.